Welcome to another restoration project. This is my PowerMac G3 and it has seen better days. I paid 25 bucks for it and it has probably been sitting in a basement for very long or so because it's very dirty. It hasn't been cleaned in years probably. It's scuffed and especially from the inside it is pretty nasty. So I'll show you some before shots how this looks like right now. When you take a look at back here, very nasty, and just a whole lot of dust and crap got sucked into here. Look at this cable tree here. I'm afraid to touch it. It's like, look at that, I just barely touched it. Very gross. I can also smell some cigarette smoke. The other restoration project I did was in fact a smoker's PC, but it was way worse than this. I can just smell it a little bit. And this one doesn't like fill up your whole room with bad air once this power is on. This is just, I can smell it though. It smells like nicotine. It is working perfectly though. I don't see any issues with it, but it just needs to clean very bad. Now before we disassemble any of this, we will first go outside and hit it with some compressed air to get like some stuff right away out of it, especially like in the power supply. I imagine there will be a cloud of smoke busting out, so yeah, can't wait to see this back in its former glory. Now there are some scratches that I probably can't get out anymore, but other than that, I think once we clean this, it's gonna look way nicer. So let's get started. So after we hit it with the air compressor, it does not look nasty anymore, but it still isn't perfect. As you can see, it's still slightly dusty, but it went from absolutely unbearably dusty to slightly dusty, which is definitely an improvement. And as you saw, there was a lot of stuff coming out, especially from the power supply and from this fan. In power supplies always collect tons of dust over the years, so that's why I hit this with the air compressor quite a long time, and the things kept flying out. So always surprises me how much crap always gets in there. It still stinks, so that needs to go away. So to take care of this, we have to disassemble it. So let's do that right now. And so the actual project began. I started taking apart the PowerMac. Since it is a desktop, I thought it was, easy and straightforward, but it does have some quirks that make your life a little hard sometimes. One of them is this latch. Apple and their latches, well, there are actually two. Look at this bezel. How is this supposed to go out? Well, it turns out you have to push from the inside on one side and just rip on it as, you even though if you're afraid of breaking it, just keep ripping it. Maybe take a little screwdriver to the back of it, and after a long and frustrating time, it will release. But man, I was really afraid of breaking it. The assembly for the optical drive comes out like this. That was pretty easy. I unplugged the stuff, as you can see, and then it is out. Pretty simple and easy. Next, we have to remove this bracket with the fan and the power supply. On a PC, usually quite easy, but on this Mac, not so much. Now, first of all, these screws are really very tight. As you can see, I'm taking my power drill to get some of them out. I just couldn't turn them. I would have stripped them. So I went with a power drill and they went out. So how do you remove this bracket or the power supply? Yeah, it is a little different than usually. First of all, you have to use Torx screwdrivers to unscrew it on the back. Of course you do. It's Apple, you know? So after you did that, can you slide it out? Well, I thought. So as you can see, I'm trying to get it out, but then I thought, oh man, I first need to route all of these cables through this whole bracket assembly. So I thought, yeah, let's remove this, and then it will go. We'll first have to deal a little bit with the stupid latch of this connector for the fan. I don't know what they thought. And I fiddled around with it quite a long time, as you can see. After working on this computer for a while, my hands got pretty dirty and I really looked like I was working in a coal mine. Had to wash my hands like 5 times during this disassembly. It would have been just too gross otherwise. Anyway, now I can finally get all these cables out of the way. As you can see, they're pretty darn dirty, and that's where I got my hands so dirty. Now let's continue the disassembly. Now we try to remove the motherboard. First the GPU, fairly easy process like on any other PC. And next is this thing. That is a FireWire card. Must have been additional, maybe a big thing in 1999, I don't know. But it's kind of weird. It has this spacer which, because it's higher, sits on top of the motherboard, and I've never seen that before. I screwed that back in here, which was a bad idea. You will see that later. But this is the FireWire card. Very easy process, like on any other PC, by the way. Now I try to take it out. Yes, I forgot a screw. Calm down already. Yep, I forgot a screw. That can happen. I think I forgot another screw. Oh, it's this spacer I told you about. Yep, it keeps the mainboard in place. So now the mainboard is out, and we have the whole case alone. Of course, still the power button and stuff attached, but I left the cables as they are since I didn't want to deal with all the cable management mess. Here is the computer completely disassembled, and it is so freaking light without all of this stuff. You wouldn't imagine that. Yeah, I don't know what I thought when I did that. Welcome to the kitchen. Here we will first clean the outside of the case, and a lot of dirt came off of this thing. On camera you can't really notice it that much, unfortunately, but it really did, more than I expected. I even cleaned the insides of these handles, which made them very shiny and nice looking. I took care, don't worry, I didn't let too much water near the ports. And there was some sticky, gross stuff on the top. That's why I keep rubbing so much on the top of it. I got it off in the end, but it was kind of driving me nuts. And I even got the scratch kind of polished out, so you couldn't even notice it that much anymore. They're very long across the whole case. and it's really nice how it cleaned up. Like it's really looking very, very beautiful now. So now I will continue cleaning the inside. The inside is pretty darn dirty. I started here with this dry paper, but that didn't really help anything. I needed water. So you will see that this gets pretty darn dirty. This is a nasty computer after all, so we want to get this as clean as possible, and that needs a lot of elbow grease because there's just so many little compartments to deal with that you constantly have to, you can't wipe it all just off. You have to constantly change, and as you can see, a lot of dirt got off. It's insane how much dirt can collect, especially under this shelf thingy. Man, it always surprises me how dirty a computer can be. I've seen dirty computers in the past, but this one is really up there. Oh, I screw up this hard drive bracket thingy to get underneath there as well. I screwed this off, but I kinda left it in place after all because I didn't want to ruin this amazing cable management that Johnny Ive designed for us. I could never bring it as good back as, factory. So I continued with the downside here. I broke a piece of plastic off, or it was just maybe just jiggling around there somewhere. Didn't really care too much for it. But surprisingly, the underside of the motherboard was pretty darn clean. As you can see, there's not a lot of dirt. Still some coming off, but not what I expected. Here I do just touch up the edges. I did then this after this clip, but as you can see, very nice looking indeed. Clean again, shiny, nice aluminium. But we're not done yet. We still have this very dirty fan, and I will now remove it from this bracket to clean it as good as possible. But guys, this is hands down the dirtiest fan I have ever seen. Your hands will get black from it, and the crap just kept coming off. I scrubbed like 10 minutes only at this fan, and it just wouldn't become clean. I don't know what this sucked in all the years, but it was pretty nasty, and I really made sure it was somewhat clean. I didn't want to hit it with water, of course, obviously, but still, just from wiping it off, my fingers got all black again, for the 5th time in this computer project here. This metal bracket was pretty easy to clean. I washed and scrubbed everything off, and it looked nice and shiny again. So here is the power supply, and as you can see, wow, it was also pretty darn dirty. Insane. But this cable tree, as I mentioned before, that was the main thing of it. There's still so much shit coming off of it, and my fingers were once again all black when you touch it, so I wanted to make sure that that isn't happening again. It was a very tedious process, swiping off all of these cables at once. Didn't really work, so I had to do them all individually, and it took pretty long, but the result was good. Here I try to reassemble this fan, and guys, why do computer fans, especially the bigger ones, always have this problem that the screws go in at an angle? And you have to fiddle with them so long that they finally go in straight. I don't know. But yeah, it always happens. Every time, every fan. Or maybe I just don't know how to do it, but I got it done, as you can see. Here's the PowerMac completely empty, and now we will try to reassemble it. Now first the motherboard, logic board, sorry for all the Apple fanboys, here you go, logic board. And I tried to use the power drill to be faster, but it wouldn't have a magnetized screwdriver, so I'll just use the old school. And it was a very easy process. I mean, this is just a motherboard installation, and it could have been in any other PC, I have to say that. Very straightforward. If Macs were built like that nowadays, man, would be a dream. Very easy laid out cables, so you can't go wrong connecting those. Here I reattached the Firewire card, and everything was so simple, it just all snapped together very well. But the fun part comes again, don't worry. But before, I will take a look at the processor and reapply some new thermal paste, as I always do with my old computers when I take them apart. And I was just amazed, like this whole unit comes off, and this is this very small processor top. Very interesting design, like, you know, the old school processors. Now this is even passively cooled, and so it doesn't really generate all that much heat, but I still wanted to make sure I'd give it enough cooling. And yes, I first wanted to put it on a different chip, and I'm sorry for that, but why should I cut the fail out? It's just, I'm human after all, and it looked very similar to a processor. But don't worry, I got it done right, as you saw. So now let's go back here to the power supply, our friend the power supply. I started routing everything through here and squashing it in there, and it like flew into place, and I would never, hopefully, have to put it out again. Here I reapply this very stupid laid out power for the power button and reset button. It's like from the other side where you can't see, so I have to guess where the connector goes. I don't know who designed that. Here I reapply the torque screws, and of course the little plate thingy, which makes sure it absolutely stays in place no matter what. It's kind of unnecessary, it's a little over-engineering, but, still gotta put it on. Now this screw kind of fought a little bit, but yeah. Sorry for my elbow in the camera all the time, but it's kind of hard to work in front of a camera when there's a tripod and everything. Now here comes the fan bracket. I had a hard time installing that as well. It was kind of a tedious process. I didn't really know at first that there were two latches, of course. How can it be another thing that you have to put in, and then it will go into perfect position where it's supposed to be. But I didn't know that at first, so I had to Google. Yes, I even researched, believe it or not. So I tried getting it in these latches, as you can see there. Took a couple of tries, and the cables all get in your way. But you can do it. You can. I believe in you. It's not that hard. Especially not if you're used to modern Apple hardware. here goes the optical drive bracket. Very easy process, just slide it in the way you slided it out. Make sure you connect everything first, otherwise it will be kind of hard. And after that, you just have to screw it in and you're done. So next here is the hard drive. Very easy process, like on any other PowerMac. Just slide it in and it is done. Also the cute data cable comes now, the very short IDE cable. Now let's put the GPU back where it belongs. Made sure that it actually closes and nothing's blocking it. And last but not least, our friend the bezel. Yeah, didn't work at first try perfectly. I messed up some alignment and like on the bottom thing wouldn't go in all the way. Now of course the fault is that there's another latch that you have to pull in, like on the right side. So first try with the screwdriver, but didn't help, so I pushed it back out a little bit and it would finally snap into place. A very annoying process, and I hope I never have to do that ever again. And there it is, the finished PowerMac G3, blue and white. All new and shiny, and definitely better looking than before. Especially from the inside, all nice and shiny again. Almost as if it was brand new. So, I really enjoyed this project. Always cool to work on old Macs. And I hope you liked it as well. So, if you want to see more of this, just stick around. And I will see you in the next video.